Within Ireland, what would you say were kind of some of your best moments there, like the moments you look back on maybe most fondly, playing for Ireland?
Yeah, like I look back on like obviously the 2015 World Cup. I knew I had a massive battle on my hands to even make the squad for that World Cup. Johnny was playing really well in the lead up to it. I was competing with Paddy Jackson, and I remember like really mapping out probably 2 years before that World Cup. I wanted to map out literally everything from my nutrition to my strength and conditioning to my passing technique, my kicking stats. And I made a lot of sacrifices in those 2 years. And I remember kind of being about maybe 6 weeks into the preseason of that World Cup and knowing that I was in the best physical shape that I could possibly be in. I felt like I was very comfortable under Joe Schmidt and the game plan that he wanted me to execute. And I played against Scotland in one of the World Cup warm-ups, and I just remember had that real good feeling like I'm in a nice flow here. I know what way the team is set up. It suits the way I play the game. And that was a really nice game to play in at home in the Aviva. And the momentum of that kind of gave me the confidence in the World Cup to perform. And, when I got the opportunity when Johnny went down against France and, in a high pressure group game, I felt like I was ready. I was obviously nervous, and, you've got that, expectation to perform, but I also felt I was ready, and that was a really nice feeling at the time.
Yeah, very, very famous photo as well after the France game. I'm sure that was maybe like a really, really nice moment, like just after that, waving to the crowd and that kind of thing after like a really special game. I still remember that like vividly, that game.
Yeah, and like I look back on that, and like for a while I was obviously got a lot of slagging over it, and I was dealing with getting a meme every Friday. I'd be sent a flood of memes for about 2 years. But as time's gone on, I kind of look back and think of that, like that outpouring of emotion. And like ultimately, like I definitely felt like I was doubted by, to an extent by teammates and definitely in the media and even, friends and family to an extent. Of the big question was who's going to be able to perform if Johnny does get injured. And I think after that game it was nearly a realization for myself that I'm good enough to be able to perform at this level. And it was a special moment.
Would that tournament, would it have equally doubled as potentially the most difficult period in the Irish jersey as well, kind of towards the end of that, or would it have been maybe another time?
Yeah, like even going through the World Cup that's just gone by there in France, like it brings back so many memories of that quarterfinal defeat to Argentina, and it was similar in ways to the New Zealand defeat. Like I thought that our team in 2015 was better than Argentina, and I certainly think that the team in 2023 was better than New Zealand. But on both days, we were beaten on the day, and that's what makes the World Cup such a special competition. Cup competitions, knockout, they're the ultimate. You've got to perform on the day. And in 2015, we didn't. Like, they got off to an incredible start, similar to New Zealand in a way. And we did everything we could to peg them back. And I felt like we had pegged them back. I remember we had a gilt-edged opportunity to take the lead with about 20 minutes to go. And I think if we had taken the lead, we probably would have gone on to win. Didn't take that opportunity, and that's one I definitely think back on. But no, it's funny. Like, I've never watched that game back. I just have the memories of real time, and that's enough. But look, I really hope in the next World Cup we get it right and we get through to that semi-final. It's mad to think that it's been 40 years of World Cup rugby and we've never made a semi-final. But I was still, like, similar to this year's team. I was proud of our team's efforts in 2015. We put together a great preseason and great preparation, and just sometimes things don't go your way, and that's sport, and that's why we love it.
100%. Yeah, I think there's almost a different nature to those knockout games in a way where, like, I think like just it seems to be like a rhythm can kind of get set in nearly from the beginning. Like, I think we're kind of the New Zealand game, we were always chasing the try being held up. You're kind of thinking, that like so many things could have gone differently there. Against Argentina there, we'd like really peg them back, like you said, and it was like very much right there. But it seems like they just like in nature, like while you're playing them, are they kind of a different, is there a different flavor to that kind of a game, you know, whether it's knockout in Europe or it's knockout, you know, for Ireland? Would you feel like is there a different nature to it, or is it always just 80 minutes, like you're saying, if you're away in Wales or Italy or Scotland or whatever, or does it feel a bit different on those days, even, you know, while you're playing?
Yeah, it does. Like the preparation going into a cup game from a mental preparation is very different. You know, you've got to have the mindset of I've got to go out and win this. You know, and alongside that, you've nearly got to be the guy who's willing to lose it as well. You've got to be able to put your hand up and say, right, we're going to do this play at this certain time, or I'm going to go for this pass because I think it's on, even though it might be high risk. You can't go into a cup match and just think, right, we've got to tick this box and tick that box and hopefully it leads to a win. You've got to be willing to adapt, you know, and that was one thing that, you know, Joe Schmidt would have always said, you know, that the best laid plans until the first whistle goes. And then, you know, similar to war, you know, once the first shot is fired, you know, you've got to be able to adapt and change your game plan accordingly. And I think both teams in 15 and 23 tried to do that and did a good job in pegging them back. But, you know, you can also look at it and go, if that game against New Zealand was played 10 times, how many times does Ireland win? In my opinion, probably 8, maybe 9. You know, how many times do we beat Argentina? Probably 6, maybe 7. But it doesn't matter. It's only down to that one game. And, you know, I look at that New Zealand match and, you know, you know, an easy comparison is Sam Cane against, you know, the best player in the world in Josh van der Flier. You know, Sam Cane had the game of his life, you know, and it wasn't Josh's best day, and I'm sure he'd say that himself. And that's what's great about the World Cup. You know, 4 years of preparation comes down to one set of 80 minutes. And yeah, tied in with that, you know, there is times when you go, geez, maybe today's just not our day. You know, when New Zealand got that try in the second half, that was definitely, as a spectator and a supporter, you're kind of going, geez, maybe today's not going to be our day, you know. And yeah, it's a pretty gut-wrenching feeling, that, and you'll do absolutely everything you can to try and get it back. But yeah, sometimes you just get caught in the hop.